Hello friends, welcome back. So in this session we will start Spring Boot course. So far we have seen Spring MVC. So now we will start Spring Boot, and we will see the definition and introduction of a Spring Boot. So what is Spring Boot? Spring Boot is nothing but a Java based framework. This is nothing but a Java based framework, same as a Spring only, but they have added some extra libraries to remove the configuration process. So to develop the web and enterprise application in Spring, we have to do the to develop an enterprise and web application. But similar things we can achieve using Spring or Servlet also. But why Spring Boot? If Spring is already there, then why they have given Spring Boot? Because in Spring we have to do the lot of configurations. We have to do manually. We have to do the configurations either by using XML or by using Java annotation based configurations to create the object and to initialize the object. So we have to do lot of configurations, so that may takes developer lot of time. In that case, that may be tedious job for developer, and there is no escape for this configuration. Means if we want to use Spring, definitely we have to do configuration. There is no other option. So to remove the botheration of Spring configuration, Spring team has introduced Spring Boot, so that will automatically do the configurations and you can modify that configuration. You can change accordingly according to your requirement, and however you want you can do. Spring Boot gives this feature, auto configuration. Spring Boot provide a new prototype for developing Spring application with the normal effort, very normal effort. By Spring Boot we can develop a Spring application with extra agility and capacity to focus on the solving business need. So if we use Spring Boot, we have to think about the business rules only. We no need to think about the configuration or any other extra task that is not related to your business rule. But since if you are using Spring or Servlet or anything, then definitely you have to do the configuration. Other than the development, other than the business rule, you have to develop some code. But if you use Spring Boot, that application will be automatically configured, and it will create the demo project. You can modify according to your requirement, and you can add your business rules. So Spring Boot use a new development model for quickly building Spring application with very little configuration. So Spring Boot is opened and customizable. Means Spring Boot forms opinion. It means that Spring Boot has some sensible defaults which you can use quickly building your application. For example, Spring Boot use embedded Tomcat. Web container automatically will come. If you use Spring Boot, you no need to add any web container. You no need to add Tomcat. Without Tomcat you can run your application, because in Spring Boot the Tomcat is embedded. So this type of configuration it is giving. Okay, next one is a customizable. You can easily customize it at any times as per our need. It should be updated especially in the pom.xml file. That's it. Okay. So this is about the Spring Boot automatic configuration. Okay, Spring Boot components. How many components are there? Starter, one component very important, that is a starter. Before to create application, auto configuration, some starter point should be there. So that is a starter, Spring Boot starter, that will automatically do what? Manage all the dependencies Spring Boot project by combining the group of common or related dependencies. Spring Boot form the opinion based on the starter. Auto configuration, it will do automatically configuration. So detect the automatically configures and Spring application based on the added dependency. CLI, that will not discuss here. Command line interface to start, test and stop Spring Boot application. And actuator, enable enterprise feature. Actuator enable enterprise feature. Okay, so so this is all about the Spring Boot. Spring Boot is used to do the automatically configuration. To do the auto configuration, you don't need to make any configuration, and even the structure of your application, whether that is a web application or whether that is a standalone application, your Spring will automatically create the structure. It will automatically include a server also if it is a web application, or it will do automatically configuration also. So like that, this is the definition of a Spring. Okay, so now we will see how we can create Spring Boot application. We can create Spring Boot application in two ways. One, we can use Spring Initializer. Another one, we can use Spring Toolshoot IDE, or we can use Eclipse or NetBeans also. If we use Eclipse or NetBeans IDE, we have to add the plugins. If we are using NetBeans, we have to add plugins, and if we are using Eclipse, then we have to install some extra software into our Eclipse IDE. But if we use Spring Toolshoot, that is another IDE that is dependent on Spring only, Eclipse only, but using that Eclipse, they have given their own IDE that is called Spring Toolshoot, and if you using Spring Toolshoot, you can create a Spring Boot application. So we will see both approach. We will see Spring Initializer first, and then we will see Spring Toolshoot. Okay, so first create the Spring Boot project or Spring Boot application with Spring Initializer. So how we can do using Spring Initializer? It's very easy. Just we have to go to start.spring.io website, and from here, once we open this website, we will see one UI, something looking like this. If you see, it will be something like that. Here what we have to do, here we have to supply group ID, artifact ID, project name, project description, package name, packaging.type, jar or var, whatever, if it is a web application or a standalone application, and we have to select the Java version. So all these details we have to specify here. First is group ID. So group ID, which one I will take? com.techhub, that is our group ID. Just simply you can give any group ID. It will be most looking like that. First will be the com, that will be company, corporation, then tech hub, some company name, something like that. It will be something like that only. Okay, but basically this will be organization's details, something like that. techhub.com, something like that you can say, or com.techhub. It will be in the reverse order. Artifact ID, that will be the the file name. This will be the file name of what? File name of jar or var, whatever you will select. Either you will select jar here, or if you select var, then it will be a file name. It will be considered as a file name. Internally it will be converted to file name only. Okay, so I will give file name as Spring Spring Boot demo. That's it, Spring Boot demo. Project name you can give Spring Boot demo, that is also fine, no issue. Description, demo project for Spring Boot, that is correct only. If you want to give a Spring Boot spring boot demo project, spring boot demo project, com.techhub.spring boot demo, spring boot demo. That's it. You can give com.techhub.spring. So this is a package, this is package name. Sorry, because some default package should be there, no, at least one package should be there, or you can say that root package. So this is that package, com.techhub.spring boot demo. This is the description of your project, this is the name of your project, this is the file name of your project. Okay, jar or var, whatever. If you want to create a web application, you can use var or you can use jar. So currently I am selecting as a jar. Next one is you have to select Java version, which Java version you wanted to use. So Java 11 or 17 or 18, 81. So that is the recommended only 11. Okay, and here if you see, we can add a dependency. Here dependency is nothing but, we have seen in Maven we can add dependencies. So here also pom.xml file will be there, because that is by default it will use Maven only. See, project. So you want Maven project or Gradle project, it's up to your choice, either Maven or Gradle. By default this is a Maven. And language also, if you see here, you can choose, either you want to use Java or you want to use Kotlin or you want to use Groovy. Any one of them you can use, but by default the language is Java, and by default the project build tool is Maven. Either you can use Gradle. If you use Gradle, then also dependency will be there, you have to add the dependency. So by default this is a Maven project. So in Maven, how we were adding the dependency, so that dependencies it will be added. Okay, so suppose if I click here, so you can search here like Spring MVC. We have seen Spring MVC. So Spring MVC, it will be Spring Web. Automatically this will add build web including RESTful application using Spring MVC. Use Apache Tomcat as a default embedded container. Like that, it will automatically add these dependencies. Just simply you have to add, or if you want to remove, you can remove the dependency. It's fine. So you can add n number of dependencies, whichever you want. So many dependencies are there, like auth, Spring Auth, you want to use Okta, any of them dependency you want to use, you can add. Currently we are not adding any dependency. Okay, here project build tool is Maven, language is Java, and Spring Boot version, latest version is this one only. That is snapshot, that is another version, that is under development or something, that we should not use. We should use this clear 2.6.7 or something, 2.6 point something, 2.7.1 something. It should not be snapshot or something like that. That is another thing. So you just select this one, Spring Boot, and here you have to give the project metadata. Project metadata means group ID, artifact ID, project name, project description, package name, packaging type, jar or var, and Java version. And just here you have to click on generate. Once you click on generate, this file will be downloaded. Yes, this is downloaded. So go to your download folder now. So if you open your download folder, Spring Boot demo, and you have to extract here, you have to extract this here, and you will see this is your project structure, same like as a Maven project. This is same like Maven project only. So this is a Maven project only, pom.xml and src. Under src main, under this main Java and resources, here Java package pom.techhub.spring boot demo, and this is the application. And here if you see under this resources, this is application.properties, some properties file, and this is the test related files. And if you see pom.xml, if you open the pom.xml, you will see here the details. This is parent. What is the use of this parent project, we will see later. Currently this is our group ID, what we selected there, com.techhub. What was the artifact ID, what we given here, Spring Boot demo. This was the artifact ID. Version 1.0.0.1 snapshot. This is the initial version. After this is for the under development only, that's why it is a snapshot. Once it will go to production, it will not be snapshot. You have to remove this snapshot, and 0.0.1 you have to start from this only. Okay, and next one is the name of your project, description of your project, and here if you see properties, if you see by default Java 11 it is using as a compiler. Which compiler? By default your Spring Boot is using 11 only, and these two are the by default dependency. This is the testing related dependency, unit testing related dependency Spring is giving its own, and this is the starter dependency. Starter dependency means this starter dependency will be used by parent project. What is parent project? Spring Boot starter parent. This is a starter parent. So this needs some dependency, that dependency will be added by this only, and these dependency will include a number of other dependencies. Starter dependency, it will include core or that type of dependency it will add. Spring MVC, this if we add this one dependency only, that is enough. It will automatically add your Spring Core, Spring MVC, Spring REST. So all these dependency, and other than that also like XML related dependency, JSON related dependency, it will add. Okay, so that is fine. So, and after that one, if you see here, one plugin is there. So this is our plugin. What is this plugin do? This plugin only will be used by Maven, because we can give our custom plugins in our pom.xml file. In our Maven we can give our custom plugins, and using that plugins your Maven will process your application. So Spring Boot is giving their own plugin, that is nothing but the Spring Boot Maven plugin. That's it. Spring Boot Maven plugins, org.springframework.boot. So this using these plugins your project will be created. Okay, so that is so this is about the pom.xml of this one. Okay. This we have seen already. Okay, required dependency we can add. Okay, click generate, and after that one, what we have to do? We have to import the project. Which project? This project you can delete this one, that is fine if you. So this is our project now. So this project we have to import in our STS. So in STS, if you want to import, just how will you do that one? There are two ways to import. One is click on file, click on this file menu. From this one you select import, and from this import you have to select Maven. From the Maven you have to select existing Maven project, and next. Here you have to select the path. Under download it was there, under download this is there. So just simply open this one and finish. So now if you see, it is downloading some dependency. If you see here, it is downloading, importing project and downloading some of the dependency from Maven repository, and after adding it is importing. So once this import will be done, your project will be ready and you can open, you can run. We'll see. So this is going to be done. Now this is downloading some source and Java doc file. Okay, it will not take much time. It depends on your internet speed. It will be very faster. Sometime it will take time. Okay, but you need internet. If internet is not there in your system, this will not be happen. Okay, because this will download the libraries. We say that Java library or dependency from the Maven repository. Okay. So let's just wait to be downloaded. Okay, so now this is downloaded successfully, and if you see the structure, so this is the structure, Java source, this is the source, and fine. This Maven pom.xml we have already seen, that is fine. Okay, so that's it. So how will you run this application? Simply just currently what I am doing here, so this is our main project. So here if you see, I will write some SOP statement, and Spring Boot AWB application has started, something, just simply I am typing here. Okay, so how will you run? So there are two three ways to run. One is, this is the main class, we can see here, public static void main. Here this is a main class, so just right click on this main, run as Java application. Very easy, simple. It is running. See, first it is started, now it is after starting, these many steps are happening, and stopped. Your application is stopped. See. Okay, so this is the one way. Another one is, right click on this file only, run as Spring Boot app. That is also fine. But what is the difference here? You will see colorful. You will see the message and warning info, you will see in colors. But if you run as Java application, you will not see that colors. You will not see that colorful. See, only black and white. That is fine. Okay, or else if you don't want to run from here, project level you can run. Right click on this project, run as Spring Boot app or Java application. It's up to your choice, however you want to run. Okay, so like that you can create the project using Spring Boot starter. Next one is, you can create the Spring Boot project from the STS itself. So that how will you do? You have to go to file, new Spring starter project. You have to select. So just go to file, new Spring starter project. Here also you need internet. If internet is not there, if in your system internet is not there, it will give like something like that, unknown host exception. Otherwise it will give new Spring starter project. So it is coming new starter project, and here you have to give the same thing, name of your project. Here you have to select the type, either Maven or Gradle. But if you use this one, you can see, if you see this Spring initializer, web Spring initializer, here also if you see project build tool, either can be Maven or Maven or Gradle. But here also same thing, either if you want to use the Maven or Gradle, you can use. Here either you want to create jar or var, that is also fine. Java version, language, Java, Kotlin, Ruby, the same feature whatever you are seeing here, project build tool, language, group ID, artifact ID, name ID, packaging, Java version, all that you are seeing here. See, Java version 11, 10, anything. If you see here Kotlin, then here you will see Kotlin is nothing but Java only. It is internally using Java only, even if it is a Groovy. So that's why this is the Java version only it's asking. Okay, that's fine. Here you have to give the group ID, artifact ID, version ID, description, package, and working set. Here if you see Spring initializer, here you have an option to add the dependency. But here how will you add the dependency? So after filling all this detail, group ID, artifact ID, version, after filling this detail you have to click on the next, and here you have to add the dependency. Here you have to add the dependency you can add. You can select here like web MVC, Spring MVC, Spring REST doc, Spring web. So whatever you want to, you just select and click on the next, so it will be added. So this, here you see one dependency is added, you can remove, click on the next and finish. Simple. So this will be in this way this project will be created. So now one new demo project came with the same set of statements, with the same set of structure. Okay, fine. So next is, after that one, if you see this is fine, as we have already seen. and how we can run. So running the Spring Boot applications we have already seen how we can run. That is fine, that's correct. So now what we will do, we will develop the user registration application first. User registration application, we will create one user registration application and we will see how exactly it is working. Okay, so we have already created that one. So and we will import the same. Okay, so this is that project that we have already created, and we will see all the components of a user registration application. So to register the user, what we need first, if you see this application, there are n number of packages. One is if you see this one, this is nothing but the main class. Here we have created one logger, environment, and AutoAdd as application context. We will see this later, but before to that one, if you see, first we have to create the repository where your registration data will be saved. So that is nothing but user repository, and this user repository is nothing but an interface that has only one method, that is a register user, and taking as a input, that is a user entity. And user entity, if you see, that has a user ID, name, password, email, and mobile number. These 5 fields user has user ID, username, password, email, and mobile number. And this one is the implementation for your user repository. And if you see here in this user repository, we are not doing any database operations. Simply we are returning one message, success message key. This is another key. Inside this message key, if you see, inside this this constant package message key, we have defined a constant registration success, simply, so that it will be easy to access. Wherever we have to modify this value, we can modify directly here and it will be reflected everywhere. So that's why we have created in this way, message key dot registration success, simply. And I am printing this user here using this logger.info. Okay, so this is nothing but the user repository, and this user repository will be called by user service. And under user service, if you see, we have only one method, that is a register user, and that is a taking user DTO as a input. And user DTO is nothing but the same only, that has a 5 variables: user ID, name, password, email, and mobile number. Okay, and this is the implementation for user service. And if you see here, user service, that is implementing user service IMPL using user service only. And user service is doing what? User service is doing a registration using user repository. And user repository, if you open user repository, there is register user method is there. So it is using that only, and the same method whatever is returning from the user repository, it is returning back to the caller. Okay, so like that, this is a user repository. Model we have seen already, DTO we have already seen, message key, adapter. So what is the meaning of adapter? Adapter is nothing but that is being used to convert, from the DTO to user entity, or vice versa, from the user to user DTO. You want to transfer the data from DTO to entity, or from entity to DTO, vice versa. However you want, you can do using user adapter. Why this code is written? Because we need to do this operation n number of times, so we don't want to write this code again and again. That is not a good practice also. So in that way, we should use adapter. That adapter will automatically converting the data from one entity to another entity, or we can say transferring the data from one reference object to another one. Okay, so that is nothing but the adapter. And the last one is demo exception. That demo exception, you want to define some custom exception, you can define by extending exception simply. Okay, so this is an exception only. And now if you observe one thing, user repository, I will open user repository and user service. So if you see user repository is marked with @repository annotation, and user service is marked with @service annotation. And auto void, what does it mean? Auto void means whoever is going to create the object of user service IMPL, that people has to initialize the value of user repository. So by using this auto void annotation, your Spring Boot will automatically initialize this dependency. Very simple. And in the same way, if you see the user repository, in the user repository don't have any dependency, but this user repository IMPL object has to be created. Then who will create this object? Your Spring container will create. And how Spring container will create? Spring container will use this annotation, and that annotations will be used to create the object. Okay, and here, and who will call this Spring REST user service to call this user repository register user method? Who will call? Wherever, that can be a controller or that can be a main method. From wherever you want to call, you can call. So currently we are calling from Spring Boot demo application main class. From this main class we are calling, from this main class. If you see, we are implementing here command line runner. Command line runner will nothing but after running your Spring Boot application, this will run your Spring Boot application. This is Spring Boot starter only. So this will run your Spring Boot application. After running your Spring Boot application, your Spring Boot application, your Spring Boot has to run command line runner. This is our command line runner. So command line runner is nothing but one interface that has a one method, that is a run, and that is taking a string argument, var arguments. And here if you see, we have created one user DTO dot, and user DTO, for that user DTO we are setting the user ID, name, password, email and mobile number. We are setting all these fields. After that one, what we are doing, we are getting application context dot get bean. What is application context? Application context we have already seen in Spring. Application context will do nothing. This will hold your all the objects. That is nothing but a container. Application context is nothing but it's a container that is holding your objects. How many objects is created, so that object will be held by application context only. So this application context, you can directly go and auto wire here. Automatically your Spring Boot will initialize. You don't need to create application context also. From this application context, you can get the user service in the same way how we were getting in the Spring. Get bean, or get bean with the name, get bean with the type. If it is a get bean with the type, then it definitely only one bean should be there of a user service, and that bean it will return. So here we are getting user service application context dot get bean of user service. And from this one, if you see register user, what it is doing, register user, if you call, then user service IMPL will call register user method of user repository, and that is logging, that is nothing but it is logging a user as info. It is logging to console, and and after that one register user method is returning a message that is nothing but user repository dot registration success. This method only, this message only your user repository returning. Very simple. And here what we are doing after getting this message, because that is not a message, this is not a message, user repository registration successful, this is not a message. What we are doing with this one, we are logging this key, and after that one from the environment.get property we are getting the property, and we are getting the we are printing that value. So what will be the value of what will be the value of this environment.get property? Let's see. I will run this one and you will see. Okay, so you can see your registration is successfully done. This is the message, actual message. So where this actual message is coming, this is your key, user repository dot registration success, user repository dot registration success. We are only returning this one only we are returning. We are not returning user, your registration is successfully done. And where is this message is residing? This message is residing under message.property file. If you see message.property file, here user repository dot registration success key is there, and that key is mapped with your message. Your registration is successfully done. And this message is being taken from, this message is taken from environment.get property. How your environment, how you are getting from the environment? Because we have to give here property source annotation. If you see, we have given here property source annotation, and that property source annotation is taking one string, that is nothing but the path of your property file. So here the path of the property file is nothing but message.property, and the name of this file is message.property only. So we can give that one using property source, and this environment will be pointed to property source, this property source, and from this one we are getting the key. So it is coming in this way. Okay, so this is how we can create the user registration application, and we can see. Okay, that's fine. Here if you see Spring Boot Starter, that we have already discussed, this is your Spring Boot Starter plugin. Using this Spring Boot Starter plugin only, your Maven is executing your application. Building the application is taken care by the Maven, and Spring Initializer provide a ready to use Maven pom.xml to the package the application as a jar or var. Open the pom.xml and you will find this plugin. So using this plugin only your Maven is executing. And what is the meaning of this @Spring Boot application annotation? If you see, before to this property source we are marking @Spring Boot application annotation. So what does it mean? So this is nothing but the combination of component scan, @configuration, and @enable auto configuration. So this is nothing but Spring Initializer will have a main class annotated with @Spring Boot application, and that annotation is equivalent to the declaring @component scan, @configuration, and @enable auto configuration annotation with their default. So this one we can say that Spring Boot application is equals to configuration @configuration plus @enable auto configuration plus @component scan, and configuration, enable auto configuration, and components we have seen. This is nothing but it is used to tell that this is your configuration file, means this is a file of Spring configuration. Okay, and enable auto configuration means this annotation auto configure all the beans based on the class path dependency, and component scan will tell in which package you want to start the scanning, and from that package onwards automatically it will scan all the packages. Whether there is some sub packages are also there, it will automatically scan. So that is the meaning of component scan only. Okay, fine. So this is all about the Spring. This was the introduction of a Spring Boot project and how introduction of Spring Boot project. Okay, so in the next session we will see Spring Data JPA. What is this one? Currently, if you see user repository, inside this user repository simply we are returning a message, but we are not saving the data in database anywhere. Simply I am just logging, I am just printing in console using logger and I am returning a message. Simple. I am not saving the data in a database. So to save the data in database we have to use Spring Data JPA. So in the next session we will see Spring Data JPA. So I hope you like this session. Please subscribe my channel and we will see you in the next session. Till that, bye bye and thanks for watching.